Hello and welcome to this episode of the Humans of Horses podcast. My name is Elle and I'm the human of three wonderful horses, Fionn, Zirconia and Morgan. But this is also an episode of
the How to Speak Horse podcast with me, Poppy Peach. Yes, I am also the human of three horses called Willow, Annie and River. And I'm so excited for this episode. We've both each been on each other's podcasts a while ago, and it's insane to me that was the first proper conversation we ever had, because now I feel like I know you so well and we talk all the time. We've seen each other in real life, and I'm so excited that we're doing this and we're back on, and I can't wait to see where this goes. Yeah.
Because it's almost been a year, actually, and we've both had a lot of changes happen.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
No, so exciting.
My burning question is, because last time I had you on, you were the human of two horses, but now you're the human of three. So do you want to talk about horse number three?
I will talk about River. She is gorgeous and I absolutely adore her. Yeah, it's amazing actually, because I had just started thinking, when would it have been? Like May, June-ish kind of time. Maybe it's time to start expanding the herd. Like, I've kind of got the time and the resources that we could bring a third horse in. It was feeling right. And I'd started looking at some horses and like just on advert sites, whatever, and none of them felt right. And then I randomly got a message from Annie's old owner going, I've got this horse. I don't suppose you'd be looking for another one. And I was like, yes, I am. Can I go? I mean, I already had gone, it's a yes, before I'd even seen her, but I was like, I should see her just to play it safe. And yeah, so her and Annie actually lived together for about 5 years, and their old owner wanted her to come to me because of a kind of a change at her yard. So River would have had to be stabled more and it just didn't work for her. So, and there were kind of a few other behaviourally kind of things, and she's 18 now anyway, so they were like, okay, and gave her to me, which was amazing. So now we have a herd of three, and River, I mean, yeah, you've met River, Elle, and she's
amazing.
She is. So that's kind of my biggest change. But your massive change is that you have moved your horses to a different country.
That's true. But can I just share my little River story, because it was so wonderful and beautiful. So I first met River just before so I had a really big assessment for work, probably the biggest I'll ever do in my entire career. And it was in the evening, and I asked Poppy, can I come see your horses in the morning beforehand, just to like ground myself and chill out and zen and make sure that I connect to who I am. And that was actually, I remember now, that was the second time.
That was the second time, yeah.
The first time I met River was in July, and it was just after I moved back to the UK myself. And I don't really know how to explain it, but
it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Do you want to share it from your perspective?
Oh, okay. Well, Elle is very magic. And so River was, I do have stables where my horses are, but they don't go in them very often. But River was hanging out in there while I was there because she wanted to get away from the flies. So it was just her and me and Elle in this stable. And then Elle just started doing this like amazing, intuitive kind of stuff, feeling into like, oh, there's a bit of like tension in her diaphragm. There's stuff through her heart space. You just had your hands on her. And like River she sometimes feels like she's got the weight of the world on her shoulders. And you were there with your hands around her heart, and she shut her eyes, and she put her head down, and you kept saying to me like, oh, I'm seeing an image of like you guys like standing in a river together at some point, and like all of these things. So from my perspective, I was just standing there going, this is so cool. but I'm also aware that like it wasn't me like feeling your experience of it. So I'd love to hear all of the other bits that I'm sure I will have missed while you were working your magic.
I mean, I just wasn't really aware I was doing anything. I was
Yeah.
just really, because we were just standing there in that space and it was so quiet in there. And I just felt this sort of bubble where it was just us three and no one else in the world existed. And it was just hearing and connecting to who she was, like almost in another realm, I guess.
Yeah.
And I've never experienced that before on that kind of level.
Yeah.
And I just followed whatever I was feeling, and I just was saying things without really realizing I was kind of saying them.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah.
And I was like, what is that? But I felt so good. And then just really refreshed and feeling great. Anyway, the sort of cooler part of the story as well was on and off between sort of then and then my assessment. On and off, I kept having River come up with this image of that space, and I kept feeling that space, and it just helped me regulate. And I thought, well, we discussed it as well. We thought, is this her just telling me to connect to that to help me with my assessment, or was it she's just trying to show me, hey, I want to go in the stable right now? And I've basically, the answer is it was to help me, because I've not had that at all since I did my assessment.
Oh,
so that was very cool.
So cool. And I feel like you really connected to who she is, like you said, like in that higher realm kind of space. Because sometimes in the more like mundane day-to-day life, she can very much come across as a horse who has been through some shit. And who is, you know, she does have her shut down side, she does have her withdrawn side. She definitely has times where she feels old, you know. I mean, 18 isn't even stupidly old, but, you know, for an ex-racehorse who's had a foal, that she's, you know, done a lot of life. And it felt like in that moment you were able to see past all of those like things that first come up when you see her. And you really got to just like, I think that was what she appreciated so much in that moment with you, is you weren't like looking at her and making all of these judgments about like, oh, you poor thing, this is going on for you. You just like were like, ah, I see you. And I think that was what she responded to so much among all the other things. That was kind of my instinct around that.
From memory, I think my guys showed up, did they not? Was it
they
all
did.
three of them, or was it just the girls?
I think it might have just been the girls. I definitely remember that, like you saying, oh, they're coming in, they're coming out, or like, like they'd kind of get more or less present at different times, and
because I think they were giving her the feeling that they have now. Because they wanted to give that to her.
Oh my god, amazing. I love how we've just jumped in like straight away. We're just like,
in the deep end.
River! Oh, amazing. Oh, yeah.
Shall I talk about the move?
Talk about the move. Yeah.
I've done a podcast on the move.
I loved that episode so much.
Thanks. It went very well. For those of you who are listening on Poppy's podcast, it was the episode of mine called The Journey Home. And I think you, along with other people, encouraged me to just record it. And capture that story in that moment before I forget it. So that's what I did. It felt very weird recording by myself, but actually when I found the right space came up, because I had a few failed attempts, and then the right space came up and I just went blur, and it worked really nicely. But yeah, it's not been without its challenges, because essentially for them everything changed. The only thing that remained the same was that the three of them were together. And for Zirconia specifically, it's been the hardest. For Fionn, I really feel like he has landed, and he's like, this is what I was always journeying towards, was being here in the UK. And I talk about it in that episode as well, about how his old owner, she's a very, very good friend of mine, and she said that we both deserve to experience what she called full happiness together. And she said you'd only feel that once you're in the UK. So we're now there. And my mum has a very big soft spot for him because he reminds my mum of her horse, Swift. Because he's got very similar look and he behaves in very similar ways, and she can't believe it. She's like, it's almost like he's here, but not. And I know I've done a communication about it before, and it's something like that. He's not Swift, but he is in Swift's soul group.
Oh, interesting. That's very cool.
And that's why I kind of was drawn to Fionn.
Interesting.
In the beginning. So that is interesting. I keep staring up there because I have a wonderful drawing of them that I like to look at. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
And then Morgan, she was just kind of like, yeah, cool, whatever, because she's Morgan. So she's like, as long as I have food, I don't really care where I am.
Oh, legend that she is. She's amazing.
But for Zirconia, she found it hard that I wasn't there every day anymore. And I think she also maybe felt that I just left her to some extent. So, because we've been together now 3 years and I've been her anchor and her voice or advocate for her sense of self and who she is. So to suddenly not have me there, I think she kind of just panicked and was upset about it, and that manifested itself in her literally attacking Fionn. And then Fionn, actually now, he wouldn't have done this in the past, but he fought back. So I was like, yay, Fionn, but also, oops, because Zir got a bit injured. And then Morgan, actually, amazingly, because I saw it all on camera, she was watching them and knew this was not okay. And she managed to cut in between them and drive Zir away from Fionn, and wouldn't let her come back until she'd calmed down, which was very cool for a 4-year-old horse.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, and I love the way that you speak about them all and the way that they dealt with it, and it's like you just get it, like with Zir or whatever, because she was like struggling for a while. I remember I did a session with them all, sort of, I think it was even the day of that or the day after or something. And yeah, she was really feeling very sad about you not being there, because they do absolutely see you as part of the herd. Like, they really don't see you as like maybe they do see you as slightly more separate now. But certainly the first time I connected with them, they were like, yep, it's 4 of us, not 3 of us. And yeah, like it could be easy to go, oh, I wish she'd just like get over it quicker, or, you know, she's fine, she's got her friends and her freedom and her forage, and you're just like, oh yeah, of course she feels sad because you mean so much to her. And yeah, just the way that you've supported all of them through the move is just absolutely gorgeous. Like, before you, I would have gone, there's no way that you can move horses like internationally in that kind of way and it be okay. I would have gone, that's just got to be traumatic to do that. And then you did it and it was like, oh my god, it can be done. And it's not like, it doesn't have to be this perfect, amazing, clean thing, and you don't have to prepare for months and months and months beforehand, and it can still be a non-traumatic thing.
Basically no trailer practice. Pretty much. Very, very, very minimal. And I think, well, the key in the success was the every little cog in the wheel, and everyone who was involved in that move. And I talk about it as well on the episode, where I really felt the love of everybody who was invested in our successful outcome there. And it was just, that's the thing, I don't think they have any trauma from that day. Like, they travelled for 12 hours, and I don't think they have any trauma from that day.
Which is amazing.
I didn't acknowledge that until just now. That's really cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's no mean feat, but it's amazing that it's doable, you know? That's like just so cool. So cool. Yeah.
wouldn't have been without your help, wouldn't have been
Oh.
without several other people's help, and also, of course, a shout out to Caroline from Mates
Oh,
Race.
Caroline is amazing. We love Caroline.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, she's
I
brilliant.
bumped into her not so long ago
Oh
because
my
I
God,
was driving
amazing.
back from you, actually, I think.
Oh,
Was it you? No, it was the day after I saw you. I was driving back
yeah.
and she was going the other way, and I was like, I recognise that van.
Oh,
So
yeah. Oh,
couldn't
she's so
believe it.
lovely. Yeah, Caroline, if
Yeah.
you're listening, we love you. Yeah, no, it is so helpful when you've got a team and a community who are just so like-minded and skilled and on board, and yeah, no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
want anyone else
definitely.
to travel my horses now. Yeah.
Talking of, something that's coming up for me now is how my relationship with social media has changed from a year ago. Because I was the person who was, something happened in my personal life that I won't discuss on here,
Yeah.
but it was a very difficult time, and the best way to describe it was like someone stole my voice from me, and I was scared, and I shut down, and I was like, the world's a really scary place. I just need to disappear and hide. But actually, it was going to the Journey On podcast summit in Birmingham, meeting some people there, and then working with those people. So specifically Tanya and Denise, which I keep talking about, but they helped me. So Denise is an astrologer, for those of you who don't know, Denise Elizabeth Byron, and Tanya is Tanya Kindersley, who's also known as the Red Mare on Facebook, and she's a writer. And together they both basically were like, you're a writer and you need to write. That was the short version of that. And because of that, I accepted that I would have to put myself out there. And I'm so glad I did, because I've met people like you, and I've met like so many people like Cat Roy Stanley. I've met Alana Somerset, and like basically everyone who's been on my podcast so far, and yours. And it's all thanks to social media, essentially.
Yeah, totally. No, I'm so grateful to that, because I mean, your podcast was the first like other person's podcast that I'd ever gone on. Like I'd had my podcast for like a little while then, but it's quite different being interviewed on someone else's. And it was just like, you'd put this little post on just going, oh, who wants to go on the podcast? And I was like, I do. And I very nearly didn't comment that, because I was like, oh, is that going to be like, should I wait to actually be invited? I was just like, no, I'm just going to go for it. And I was so glad, because it's like, yeah, if it wasn't for social media, I never would have come across you. And I'm just so glad to have you in my life. Yeah, no, it's very, very cool.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Likewise. And as a result, everyone else I've met from that.
Yeah.
Because it's not just one or two people now. It's getting bigger and bigger, and that's amazing.
Yeah, totally. No, it's so, so cool.
I talked about it. I don't know if this episode will come out before or after, but I talked about it with Maddie from Happy Tracking magazine yesterday, and we're saying how like we just need to put our knowledge and our passion and our perspectives out there, because like, why not? People need to grow. We need to grow this community and grow this awareness of this other way of being with horses. And I feel like it's just, it's evolving so rapidly as well. And I'm feeling now this is a really great time to bring up transcending operant conditioning.
Oh my God, I knew we were going to speak about this today. Yes, let's do it.
Do you want to kick off?
Okay, let's kick off. So, in case anyone doesn't know what operant conditioning is, it is the kind of the 4 quadrants of conditioning that are used to train behaviour. So it was coined by B.F. Skinner a while ago, who's a behaviourist, and he did these studies on rats and pigeons to go, if we use food pellets and electric shocks in various different combinations, we can either increase behaviour or decrease behaviour. And from that, pretty much all animal training behaviorism kind of stuff descended. And so this is all your positive reinforcement, negative punishment, and positive punishment. And it's terrible language, because he just used the wrong words. Positive doesn't mean good, it means applying something. Negative means taking something away. Reinforcement is actually useful. Punishment, kind of, but it's more about just decreasing behaviour. So anyway, that's what operant conditioning is. And it's got its uses. Like, I use it every day. Absolutely. When I'm having to train a horse to do a behaviour that doesn't come naturally, then yeah, we all use operant conditioning, and chances are most of us use operant conditioning a lot more than we realise, a lot more of the time, because every interaction that we have with our horse is kind of training them something a lot of the time. And there are problems with it. So B.F. Skinner, like the guy who created it, didn't believe in emotion in animals, didn't believe in free will, and it's can be quite a mechanical way of relating when you don't bring in all the other aspects. And also operant conditioning is like really, really powerful. So even if you're just using food rewards or whatever, if you really, really know your shit with operant conditioning, you can coerce an animal into doing pretty much anything, even in a way that looks really, really kind. And so you can end up with these mechanical results that allow the horse to override their own personal needs, emotions, physical pain, sensations because of this training sort of stuff. So we have a lot of conversations about, well, how can we go beyond just the operant conditioning? Because we want more of a relationship with our animals where we're able to, for it to not just be an input-output machine, right? Where we're going, I've got this behaviour I want you to do, so I'm going to do the cue, click, 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 well done you, done, you know? And we're kind of going, well, how can we look at all of the other ways that we can be for the sake of being, or actually change behaviours that isn't about reconditioning the behaviour? So, for example, if a horse is like showing severe amounts of emotional stress in a situation, rather than going, okay, well, we're going to use punishment until they stop doing it, or we're going to use reinforcement until they stop doing it, we instead go, well, what's underneath that behavioural expression? What needs support? What needs emotional support? And how can we move from the cause rather than the symptom level? So,
And I think it's allowing that emotional response or the nervous system response to have its space, to exist and not restrict it, not suppress it, not divert it, but let it be present.
Yes, totally. And like, this is what really annoys me when people talk about regulation if they don't understand it, because they think having a regulated nervous system means being calm all the time, and it's not. It's being able to move through all the different states and emotions because we need them all. And when we try and create in anyone, in a human, in an animal, whenever we try and create a perfect plateau all the time, that can be just as problematic. So yeah, totally, that allowing different emotions to be, not villainizing certain emotions, not trying to get rid of them, just being like, oh, this is what's coming up for you right now. Or there was this lovely episode on the Whole Horse podcast with Kerry Lake, and she was saying, what if we looked at horse behavior as the horse just saying, this is how it feels to be me right now? And I was like, yeah, I love that. Like, how can we just listen to that and go, oh, okay, cool, thanks for telling me. That's how it is to be you right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. And I wanted to bring in, because it's something that I've actually discussed with colleagues at work, because
cool.
it's one of those things that I've learned in the horse world that I think translates really well into the human world. And it's from a book called Horses in Translation by Sharon Wilsey, which is why I was quickly looking down because I was having a quick Google to remember make sure I got the name right. But it essentially talks about how horses seek this zero. But sort of my evolution of that is how we sit in that zero and we have negative emotions and negative experiences, and then we have positive emotions and all of that. But what we're looking for is like to always come back to that zero. And I prefer the zero over, because what was it you were saying about the regulator states?
Yeah.
Oh, the calm, the look for the calm. I think the nice thing about zero is it's not saying calm, because calm is still a state or an emotion, but the zero is just a neutral. And I think we as humans should also aspire to have that neutral, because that is when we are grounded, that is when we're present. But it's okay to have the positive emotions, and it's okay to have the negative emotions, just as long as we deal with them in a healthy way to then restore us back. Because obviously if we're constantly wanting positive emotions, well, we're not being realistic about the world or our experiences. But equally, being constantly in a negative state isn't good either.
Yeah, it's absolutely that ability to do both and then be able to like return to that balance. And yeah, I think it's really interesting that you used the word neutrality, because that's a really key principle with communication work that I really kind of understood even deeper when I took a class with Brittany Ashworth of Sacred Echoes. And that's something that she talks a lot about, is getting into this state of neutrality before you enter into a session. And yeah, no, I think that's very cool. And just like this kind of thing that, there is a kind of natural innate desire to kind of return to this state of balance in the middle. And if we just allow things to unfold as they unfold, we probably will come back there eventually. Yeah.
And it also empowers us to deal with situations. And the example I want to bring up is what happened to me literally a few days ago. So I took Zirconia out for a walk in hand initially with the intention of potentially sitting on her and riding, because last time we managed to get past her sort of block, we then did a whole loop around the back of, basically you go down the lane, you go all the way around the back of the field, like way further back, and you loop back round, and it takes about an hour, and it's a really nice walk, and she really enjoyed it. This time we managed to do it. It was the first time I managed to walk her for a significant period of time where she was present and was her, not in a past state, or like a learned behaviour or a learned state of hers, to cope with what she's facing. So, but it doesn't happen every time. So I was like, I thought, well, if I start on the ground, we can just walk and see how it goes. And she was just like, nope, I'm not going further than, because we've got the 2 fields, and there's 2 entrances, one for each field, funnily enough. And she would not go further than either entrance, but she was happy to be out, just not going past those. And I started off just how I did last time, where I was facing her and I was acknowledging that she wasn't where she was, and I kept asking her, like, so where's Zirconia? Is she there? Like, can I see Zir? Is she going to come out? And I said, and it's okay. And I sort of said, we're safe. I said, you're never not going to be safe with me. You'll always be safe. And I said, it's okay if you don't want to go further than this. And we didn't. So we just stayed there. And I thought, you know what, it would be good to use this little space that we're in to practice riding together, because I know cars will come by, and it's good to practice that in this space where she feels comfortable. So that's what we did. And I'd gone to one end and I'd turned around, and it's got a little hill between the 2 gates, and she suddenly stood still. And I thought, there's 2 cyclists in the distance. And you think, she's Dutch, she's seen a million cyclists in her life, but probably not wearing a full high-vis yellow jacket, and both of them were. And it's also out of context, because she hasn't actually seen cyclists in the UK. So she's probably like, what the hell is that?
And also it's different, isn't it? Like the kind of cyclists that you get on the lane, they're often like a lot faster than,
and they also are wearing this big bright yellow jacket, which horses can see very well. So I found it really interesting. I didn't feel any anxiety or any fear. I was just like, okay, they're there. Let's just,
Yeah.
if you need to stand still and stare at them, that's what we'll do. So I was just like staring at them with her, and I was like, oh look, they're coming closer. Anyway, they said, oh, can we pass? And I said, yeah, sure, but she was not okay with that. So one of them passed, and the other one he got off. And I just sort of I thought, I'm going to let her respond in the way she needs to. So she then, she actually turned. So she turned around to follow them. So then I just started nattering away to this guy, and I explained about that she come from the Netherlands and wasn't used to seeing cyclists and high vis, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he said, oh, and I said, what? Because he was a tiny bit ahead of me. He said, this is going to get interesting. I said, okay, why? He said, there's a van, there's a dog, there's some people. So I said, the van, I said, the van's going to have to reverse because we're not going to go anywhere really, are we? He said, no. So the van started reversing. She was being smart, actually. So there were two sort of, you could pull either side of the road because it's a single track road. And she pulled into what was my right side, and on the left side was a gate to a field. I assume the man who was the farmer on the inside of the gate, and this woman with a very yappy border collie on the outside of the gate. And I just was like, okay, well, the van's to the right, so we're going to have to go in this space to the left where the border collie is. So I manoeuvred her there, and the cyclist kind of said, good luck, have a good day kind of thing. And this lady came over from the van side, and she said, she was just walking. She said, oh, it's really nice to see your horse is bitless. I said, oh, thank you. I said, and then we started chatting a bit about the situation. And then suddenly I noticed the dog was very yappy and very "Rrr." And I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. And the lady says, get your horse away from my dog. And she was really not okay, very angry, and this very energy. And I was like, okay, your dog looks like you. But anyway, Fionn and Morgan were also not helping the situation because they were by the gate and they were calling to Zir, and Fionn was completely dysregulated and stressed by all of this, and he was going and shaking his head and prancing around. Anyway, so I thought, right, I said, the van's gone. I said to the lady, and it just came straight out my mouth, I didn't even think. I said, oh, so is the dog aggressive towards horses then? And she was like, no, just get the horse away. He's not okay with it being here. I was like, okay. I said, I'll just go over to this side of the road. And I said to the other lady, I'm just moving. We're going to move over here, and we're going to stand by you and by this gate. Because I said, those are her friends. So we'll just chill over here. Yeah. And anyway, the lady left with her dog, and this lady was left with me, and she said to me, we were having a little chat, and, I was saying about Azir, and I told her about the X-Endurance thing, and I said what we're working on, and she said to me, well, she said, I'm absolutely amazed how calm you were through all that, and how calm your horse was. And then I realised, I was like, I didn't feel anything throughout that whole thing. There was nothing. It was just empty. My nervous system was just empty. And obviously I was thinking at it from a problem-solving perspective of where do we go? What do we do? Who's where? Who needs what? But I was so busy thinking about that I just trusted Zir, and I was like, we're okay because I'm okay. Yeah. And I think she knew that. So we just stayed together. And that's what I mean by the zero. It's just I was just empty. There was no excitement. There was no nerves. There was no fear. There was no stress, no worry. I'm trying to think of other emotions that might come up.
Anger, frustration.
Frustration, nothing. Just empty.
Yeah. Yes, it makes such a difference. And it's interesting that you have the going out example, actually, because I had not the same or exactly super similar, but a few days ago I took Annie out on her own, which we're starting to be able to do going out on our own because we've now got 3 horses. And I had my best friend with me, who is also Annie's favourite human friend. So she was like so excited to see her. And we went the furthest we'd ever gone. It was going great. Annie was like super confident, and she's got this like really forward way about her when she's outside. Like was just moving and like really feeling good in herself. And then we got home, and then like just as we were starting to get home, River was like, "Okay, guys, I need you to come home now." And our cue, because it's not that long ago that River had her foal taken away from her. She's still getting into the new herd. Like, I don't want her to have to deal with too much. Like, often when people think about working on separation stuff, they just think about the horse that they're taking away rather than the one that's like staying in the field. So we've got a cue with River where she can neigh when she's like, okay, that's enough and we'll come home. And so we were just nearly home, and River started neighing like, okay guys, I need you now. And there were these also yappy dogs barking, and their owner is lovely, and I know her, and she's sweet, and she was amazing. She just turned around. But there was this sudden, like, Annie just realised that she'd just gone the furthest she'd ever gone by, like, quite a long way. And suddenly River was calling, and suddenly there were these dogs, and she was like, shit! And she reared up and was like, this is not okay. And so I just stood there, and I was like, okay, cool. I was like, Iris, can you just get out the way so I don't need to worry about you? And then I had, like, such a small amount of pressure on the rope. Like, I physically put myself a lot closer to her just because she gets less, like, she needs more proprioceptive information when she's more worried, because she kind of gets a bit like discombobulated around her body. So I had like a hand on her neck with the rope in my hand, and just exactly like you, I was just like continually talking and just going, oh, thank you so much for staying with me. Like, you really want to bolt home right now, and you're staying with me. Thank you so much. I love you so much. This is amazing. There were a couple of times where she had to just kind of spin her bum out, like in the lane, and then we'd go back to walking again because she wanted to go at a much faster speed than I could. So there was more movement that she kind of needed to do that I couldn't fulfill that need with her. So we had to like offer a few different like movement routes that didn't include just bolting home. And then as soon as we got within vision of the others, she was like, okay, cool, I'm going to put my head down. My friend Iris was like, what the hell? I have never seen that happen before, where a horse gets that worried that they're like rearing up.
Basically over threshold.
Totally over threshold, and then they can come down, like before they've even got home. And she was like, I've never seen that happen. And she's done loads of volunteering at like riding for the disabled kind of places and things like that. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. And it was because I've always been the person who wants the horses who are panicking. Like, at the riding schools, those were the ones I wanted. I've always felt very calm and comfortable with those horses. But I feel like I would almost get addicted to those states. And like, I'd be one of those people who's like, you've got to keep them running because they've got all this energy they need to get out. And like, you almost like, you feed into that state. And I was comfortable in that state. But then it was like, you needed to stay there. Whereas now I was like, oh, yeah, cool, I could keep my calm in a crisis, but also without completely disconnecting from my body, because that's something I used to do. And then after the horse was gone, I'd be like, oh, my legs are shaking, right? And so it was like, oh, okay, I'm feeling into my breath, I'm feeling into my body. And yeah, like, and that, none of that was operant conditioning based. I hadn't trained for any of that. And it was all just like going, okay, what do we need to do right now? And just like, just kind of following it through. Like, I wasn't like, I was thinking a little bit in terms of like logistics of like what's around me, what's safe within, like what can I allow her to do. But then after that I was just like, you get into such a kind of flow state, or I find I get into quite a flow state where it's just like, okay, dealing with the emergency, where does my body need to be, where does your body need to be? And they can like, it's almost like the bodies are just having a conversation and a little dance like between them. But yeah, no, it's fascinating what we can do. And again, just like how much calmness is available when you know how to access it in situations that, like, both of our situations could have easily got very dangerous. And they didn't. And so yeah, no, I think that's very, very cool. Absolutely.
One of my the first person who taught me to fly, he always used to say, like, he'd teach you something and then he'd say, yeah, you don't do that, or you do this because
Yeah.
you don't want to end up on YouTube. And actually, I think that's almost the same with, if you're taking your horse out,
Yeah.
do you want to be that person who ends up on YouTube? Do you want to be that person who ends up in the local newspaper? I don't
Yeah.
want to. So
Mhm.
what can I do to
Yeah.
facilitate making sure that that situation doesn't arise?
Yeah.
And, so often people put what they want to do ahead of
Oh my
what the
God,
horse
yeah.
actually needs.
Yeah.
And I know many people view, well, what I say many people in our sort of realm would say, like, the horse comes first and you work with the horse you have today, or you work with the human you have today. Although I think there's generally more emphasis on the horse, but
Yeah.
we also need to focus on the human that we have today.
Yes, we do.
Because I might not be okay, like, just as
Yeah.
much as my horse might not be okay today.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we just work with what we've got. And I think that forms part of the key of making sure you don't end up on YouTube
Yeah.
with horses.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Like the work with the human you have today as well is so important. And like I'm really loving there was a really nice episode quite recently of the Sovereign Horse podcast where Angela was kind of talking about this kind of thing, like with the horse first thing, and how we can actually get really, really focused on the horse and we like put them up onto a pedestal. And actually, I'm really leaning much more towards labels like co-creational, where
Yes.
yeah, where it's about like
Same.
it's the human and the horse, and if we ignore the human side of it, we can get into just as much shit. Like you were saying, like if we're not okay, we might be like, oh look, I've done my course on recognizing horse facial expressions and they look happy, so we'll go outside, and we haven't checked in with ourselves at all. And it's like, actually, we're not okay, and we're going to make some terrible decisions because we're not in a rational state of mind because we're really upset or angry or overtired, and then it all goes terribly wrong. And yeah, I love it when people are able to bring in checking in with ourselves just as much as we check in with the horses, because it's so important. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And for me, I like the word, and I think it was Ash Moon who's Little Welsh Dragon, or it was Cat Roy Stanley, who posted on their stories quite a while ago now about it being a friendship, and I really like that word.
Yeah.
And there will be, if you think about so think about a friend of yours, and it's two of you in that friendship. It's two, you have a relationship with each other in the context of a friendship. And I think having, because my brain's jumping around a little bit, but we anthropomorphize a lot, and like a lot of people say, oh, like they refer to the human as being the mum, and that they're your kids. And I'm like, why do we do that? Because actually, what we should be striving for is they don't see us as their mum. Like what we should be striving for is this friendship, and for them to see us as a friend and for us to see them as a friend. And essentially that means in their language, bringing in how to speak horse, in their language, that is, you are a herd member, and that's your dynamic with them.
Yeah.
And again, I'm staring at them a lot because they're inspiring, the words that come out of my mouth. But
love it.
What would they say right now? They'd say like, I'm trying to think, what would they say about it? They'd say, well, Zia would say, because she would always say this, you need to look after yourself in order to look after us. And I think the other two would just agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. No, I love the friendship thing, and I think Yeah, it's an interesting one to navigate friendship and ownership at the same time, because again, like we don't quite fit into the category of like we're in a parent role, but then again, like if I often think of attachment theory in the context of horses, and then I would absolutely think of the human as the parent role and the horse as the child role. And equally, we are friends, but also we do control every aspect of their lives, much in the same way that a parent of a of a younger
Because
child
we're
would.
accountable for it.
Yeah, because we're accountable. So it's like this interesting thing of like, how can we have, because I think if we go, loads of people go, oh, I don't resonate with the word owner, which is totally cool. Like, I get that. It feels icky to feel like we're owning our horses. But I think we also need to be aware that we do. And like, as much as we're like, oh, yay, we're friends, it's like, yeah, and also we do have them fenced in, so they've got to like interact with us, And yeah, so I think like finding that balance is kind of a bit of an ever-changing thing, and it's different with each horse and each person. And, even like within my own herd, they need different levels of like friendship or leadership, or, like they each have, like River is much more of a, right now, she's much more of a follower. She finds a lot of comfort in me just going, oh, hey, we're going to do this. Like having to make too many decisions is actually just work for her. Whereas
she's
if I
probably
did
not
that,
in a state where she can.
yeah. And it's like, it's kind of
And
just a
that's okay.
soothing thing right now for her to be like, great, you've got it sorted out. Whereas Willow is like, I'm making the decisions over here. And so, yeah,
I think
think
Morgan's the same.
yeah, exactly. And so it's like, how can we find this balance of like, we are friends and we're also aware that it's not quite a conventional friendship, but can we still feel really safe with them, and can we have a dialogue and kind of see each other as equals? And like, what's coming to mind actually is like my relationship with my mum is quite unusual, because we've done loads of home education stuff since I was like 11, and now it feels like we very much kind of see each other as others as peers, even though I'm not technically an adult yet. Who knows, I might be by the time you release this episode. But even then it's like, and obviously there is this parent-child dynamic, and sometimes there are times where she has to override my thoughts on something for whatever reason. But we can always have a conversation about it, and we can talk about most things, and we share interest in what the other person is doing, and we collaborate on things. Like, she's been on my podcast, we're starting the series of my new podcast together, we're going to co-host a workshop in January, like, so we
Very
have
exciting.
this, yeah, so we have this kind of co-creational thing going on, whilst also navigating that, like, the kind of in-between space of like parent, child, friend, collaborator, where, all of those sorts of things. So I think that's definitely a model that I kind of like to think about and return to with horses. But again, it is different in literally every partnership ever, which is so cool that there's so much diversity.
There's two
Yeah.
things coming up for me from what you said, and the first one is Linda Kolanahov.
Linda Kohanov.
Linda Kohanov's
Yeah.
5 Roles of a Master Herder,
Mhm.
which is about socially intelligent leadership, and she
Yes.
talks about, I'm just bringing it up now, but essentially the 5 roles you have are the one that came up for me was the nurturer. When you were talking about how we have this friendship, but we also have the accountability of so much of their well-being overall, like their physical, mental, emotional, social well-being. And we are the nurturer, so we are the provider of that. But then what was also coming up was the idea of leadership versus fellowship, and it's like about having a two-way discussion, but also setting boundaries. And one of the things I always struggled with at the beginning, and I still for a long time did, was setting those boundaries of safety. in particular, and saying, sorry, but you can't do this because this isn't safe.
Yeah.
And that was very hard for me for a long time. But I think as I've grown in my role at work and shifted my mindset to that of a leadership position, which I will soon be taking on, it's facilitated that need to set that boundary and that understanding of how to set that boundary. And what was the other thing that was coming up? About the co-creation. Again, that's something the horses have given me as a gift that has translated into both my life as who I am sort of online with the podcasts and the writing and the sharing of ideas, but also moving that over into my friendships and into my work life as well. And it's about so I started working now with a leadership coach who was my helper in the Netherlands with the horses, and she's called Lisa Dempsey, and I really hope we will have a podcast one day because she does have a equestrian background as well. And we had our first session the other day, and I was describing something I dealt with in the simulators at work, and I came up with the phrase, we're safe.
Nice.
Because she said, how do you want your colleague and yourself to feel? And I said, yeah, that we're safe. And that I see my colleague as not someone inferior to me. Yes, they have less experience, and yes, they're not ultimately responsible for everything.
Yeah.
But that they are a partner and a willing partner in this, in the situations we face and what we encounter with at work.
Yeah, definitely. And just the whole safety thing is like absolutely. I think if I could only keep like one, if I had to get rid of all of the elements of my trauma informed work and only keep one, it would absolutely be the felt sense of safety. And such a big one, and such a powerful intention to go into things with. Like you're saying, like in the flying, like you could have gone anywhere with that. You could have gone like, I want us to be really efficient or really skilled or any of those things. And actually you're like, no, we need to feel safe, because that's that's where all of those things can then arise from. Because also, as we know, we can't, like often if we're feeling unsafe, then we find it harder to access lots of things like problem solving. Like when we feel unsafe, our brain kind of jumps to the first thing straight away and we react rather than respond. And when we feel safe, we have a little bit more time to just think through more options, and then that's going to ultimately result in a way better thing anywhere, which just makes so much sense in my head with the flying stuff. So
what we were exploring in this scenario, I may as well share it because it's kind of interesting. So it was a simulator I had in July, and basically when I moved from, this is a boring side of the story, but when I moved from the Netherlands to the UK, I had to revalidate my UK license. So it's a bit like, say, if you had a driving license from another country. Well, actually, I had to get my UK driving license back. I just didn't have to do a test to do that. It was just a paperwork exercise. But in this case, I had to do a test, and we had some time at the end to give me what's called, so I'm currently a first officer, and they gave me what's called a first officer development exercise. So it's where I sit in the captain's seat and I run the scenario as if I'm the captain, because my assessment that I mentioned earlier on the podcast was to assess whether I'm ready to do the training for becoming a captain. And you get given an emergency situation, you have to deal with it essentially, and you don't know what that's going to be. So in this scenario, he gave me after takeoff. So what we normally do in the sim is we practice engine failures at takeoff, because that can happen, of course. They train it in such a way that it's just something we are very comfortable doing, and it's just not a surprise. It's like, right, I need to do this, 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 this.
Yeah.
And it's very, very much in your muscle memory. So, anyway, I took off out of Amsterdam. That was the scenario. I was flying Amsterdam, Madrid, and I heard a bang on literally at takeoff. And I thought, my first thought was engine. So my eyes dropped down to the engine parameters, and I'm like, okay, nothing looks weird. So what was that? And then my brain's kind of thinking, okay, maybe we hit some birds, so maybe something else is damaged. And they teach you to essentially handle a failure. You do fly, navigate, communicate, and you do those things to make the aircraft safe, first of all, before you jump into handling the failure. So you cannot let the failure distract you. You just have to be like, right, let's get the aircraft flying safe. So am I around any mountains? Do I need to climb? What speed am I at? So all of these things. And you tell ATC that something's happened as well, so air traffic control. And you also do a PA that lets the cabin crew know that something's happened and that we're dealing with it, so then they don't interrupt you. So those are the first things. So I did that. And then I was thinking, what on earth was that?
Yeah.
And so my brain went, maybe we hit some birds. That's what I thought. But you have these system displays, so you can check all the aircraft systems, like an overview of it. And I thought, nothing there looks particularly weird. Like nothing caught me off guard, because I was thinking maybe the bird hit the wheels or something. I don't know. So I asked air traffic control, like, what? Can you do a runway inspection? So can you see if there's any bird debris or any other sort of debris on the runway? So they did that. And they came back to me and said, we found some tyre debris on the runway. So I thought, okay, interesting. And I then got a call through from the cabin crew, and they said, we've had a passenger say that there's something weird on the wing. So I said, okay, can you go look at it on the left wing? And she comes, like the instructor plays the role of the cabin crew, so he likes to be a bit creative and act it out. And he comes back and he says, there's some sort of weird vapour coming off the wing. And that's when my heart went, oh no, I knew what that was. And my eyes go to the fuel, and I'm like, I'm having a rapid fuel leak. SHIT. That's what my brain went. And what we did in the leadership session was we tuned into how that felt in my body.
Yeah.
So what is it that came up? And I said, well, it was that, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
feeling.
Of course. Yeah.
And afterwards in the debrief, they said basically that we lost Elle for a brief period of time. But as soon as I smiled, because basically once I worked out that, yes, we were losing all the fuel in our left wing, but hey, we've got plenty in the right wing and that's not going anywhere, then I was like, oh, we're okay. There's no time pressure now. Yeah. And he says, as soon as you work that out, you just relaxed again. And it's funny, I'd mentioned the horses to him during the break. And he said, it was so insightful, because he said to me, he said, I rode a horse once. I said, oh, how was it? And he said, well, I was really nervous. And he said, but I noticed because I was nervous, the horse was also nervous and anxious. And I thought, wow, that is coming from someone who has nothing to do with horses. I was like, that's amazing. So he said to me, he said, I can tell from our conversation, he said, be Elle or stay Elle. He said, because that's who we need in the flight deck. It's the person that you are around your horses, and who the leader you are for your horses, that's who you need to be. And I was like, wow, that is the most landing piece of information that someone has ever said to me about me in the context of work. And those words have just stayed with me, and I hope that I carry them forward and I discover more and more what that actually means and how that shows up in the workplace.
Oh, that's so cool. Yes, we all need Elle. Absolutely. Oh, that's amazing. It's always the non-horse people who have the best horse insights.
They do.
It's so cool.
You say that. My husband was with me last time I was with the horses, and we took Morgan and Daisy out for a walk. And it was so funny. He actually is so cool, because I didn't want to admit that Morgan was done because basically we'd seen some cows and she hadn't seen cows before. So we stared at the cows. And I was like, no, but come on, we can go into the forest like we did last time. And she was just like, no. And he said to me, she's done. And I was like, you're right. You are right.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, so good. Always listen to the non-horse people because they know. Like, yeah, when I was little and my mum would be like, today is not the day to do whatever it was I was planning to do. And then I was like, tough shit, I'm doing it anyway. I would always be like, oh, she was right. She was absolutely right. And it's like, okay, trust the gut instinct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to explore that. The word planning to do around horses.
Yes. Go for it. You start us off.
Shall I start? Okay. So, planning to do something with the horses. This is something that has been a lesson of mine over the last 5 years since Fionn has been in my life. And it's been a gradual process. And I think Zirconia also helped me come to terms with it because I realised whenever I showed up with the idea of, I want to ride Fionn today in my head in the Netherlands, it never worked out.
Yeah.
So I started to say, okay, maybe I need to stop doing that. And it's very hard to honour that. And I tried my very best in the Netherlands to show up there and not have any plans and just be like, right, today I'm just going to muck out and feed you and clean you like I do every single day. And that's it. And I did start to do that. But what's interesting now and what's sort of shifted that that intention, should I say, onto a deeper level, is I would have thought, or the challenge I faced when I moved them to the UK was that I knew I wouldn't be seeing them every day. So I'd gone from seeing them every day to seeing them every 2 weeks, which is what I currently do.
Yeah.
And when I see them, I do spend the entire day with them if I can. And what I do is I start to show up again with ideas and intentions, and like, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to make the most of the time that I have here with you right now. And it just didn't work out. Surprise, surprise. And so now I've shifted it into, and I had one day that changed it for me, where I was just kind of there and I was like, I'm just going to hang out and chill. And also I don't really feel like doing anything either. And I just hung out. And then all of a sudden I'd sort of done the poo and I'd given the hay. I was just there and I had this picture come into my mind, and it was of me riding in the lane with Morgan. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
What was that? And it came up again. And she said something like, and I say this because now the communication is basically opened, and I think that's where it's shifted, because I couldn't get that in the Netherlands. And actually in the Netherlands I always felt really tired. Here I seem to have endless energy. Like, it's mad. I woke up at 4:15 this morning and it's now 5:15 for work. And I'm absolutely buzzing.
That is
so it's really interesting. But she said, I want to do big girl things. That's what she said to me. And I was like,
oh yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
I was like, what the hell do you mean by big girl things? What are you banging on about? And again, this picture of us going in the lane came up. And I was like, Morgan, we've not done any training. Like, I've sat on you once. And like, my helper in the Netherlands, she sat on her once as well. I was like,
yeah,
madness. Anyway, so I thought, well, okay. I said, if we're going to do big girl things, I need to adjust your bridle. So we're going to faff around with that for a little bit. We'll also do Fionn's What's the Matter, because it is a very tedious thing. I don't enjoy doing it. And I put the bareback pad on her, I put her bridle on, and off we went out into the lane. And then I got on her and rode her with zero previous training. And I was like, what the hell is this? And she did it as if she'd done it her entire life. I was like, that's mad. And then I didn't want to stay long on her because she's only 4 years old. And if you'd have told me 2 years ago I'd be riding her already, I'd be like, hell no, she's too young. But I can't ignore that voice from her. I said, so we're only going to do it a little bit of time. I said to her, and I'll get off. And I did get off. And then she was like, oh, just let me loose. And I thought,
Legend.
what, on the lane? What? She's like, yeah, we'll be fine. Just let me loose. I was like, okay,
Oh my God.
fine. Obviously,
Oh,
if
I
a car
love her
came
to
along,
bits. Yeah.
I clipped her on if I heard a car
Yeah.
coming. I was
Yeah.
like, Morgan, if people see us, they're gonna think we're mad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But it was so cool because she just followed behind me and she was all like la 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 la, and then I felt this moment of, oh, she wants to trot, so we ran together, and then I also felt the synchronicity of, okay, we're stopping the trot now. And then I also let her choose if she wanted to go home. Yeah. And she just did. She was like, okay, I'm going into the field now, la 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 la. Anyway, I put her back, and then I still get this picture of riding in the lane, and I'm like, who's telling me this now? Fion. No, Fion, don't be mad. Like, you do not like going outside, we know this. But he was like, no, I want it. I was like, oh God, okay, here we go. So I was like, right, this is madness, because this horse gets so easily over the threshold, he bolts, and he's just a nightmare. Like, I have had severe burn on my hands from rope, from Fion just going out of the blue, seemingly, because it's very hard to see when he's over threshold, because he almost goes from basically just above zero to bam, explosion. Yeah. And it's very hard to anticipate, and anyone who's ever met him and worked with him will relate to this feeling. And again, I rode Fion in the lane, and he was totally chill, and I was like, what the hell is this? So yeah, that's what happens when you let go of ideas. It's a very long circle back to letting go of planning and projecting ideas.
Yes. Oh, I know exactly what you mean. And like when we were at our old yard, I had a rule for myself that I could never ever set up anything in the arena before we went in. Because if I had spent even 5 minutes putting some poles out in a certain thing, I would get so attached to, we've got to do those poles. And Willow would be like, we are not going anywhere near those poles, because there was like so much pressure on them. And I mean, it was great actually, because then she got used to me like carrying poles around the arena. So it was actually a win-win. But yeah, or like having, because we don't have an arena now at all, anything that I do with any of the horses basically involves all of them. So it's so cool because I can go out with like, okay, here's a halter. Who wants to put it on today? And it can just very much be like, we'll just go out there with our things and see what comes up. Or like, me and Willow are slowly on our progression towards riding, and I was just like playing with putting a saddle pad, just like touching it on her back a little bit today, and she was like, okay, that's enough of that. And I put them on the floor and put some treats on for them all to just snuffle about in. And as soon as Annie was interested in them, like, of course Willow got so much more curious because all of the pressure was off her and someone else was interested in it. It's like that, the sibling thing where one sibling's got something and then the other sibling's suddenly like, oh my God, I need that thing. And so straight away Willow was like, oh, now all the pressure's off me, I'm gonna go and like investigate. Isn't that cool? So yeah, no, it's very, very cool, the letting go of planning, definitely.
Feel free to carry on talking because my headphones have run out of battery, so I'm just gonna swap. Oh no! So just feel free to carry on talking.
Okay. All right then. Well, I will fill some space for a minute. Let me think. On the topic of that sort of thing. Yeah, I think it's just very cool to see like what comes forward when we, I think it's also about like we allow space for something that we hadn't expected to happen. Because if we go into something with a set plan of we're going to do this and this, then it also means that we're not open to something surprising emerging. Like your examples with Fiona Morgan, like with the riding, if you'd have gone, okay, we're going to do this today, you never would have been open enough to receive that because you were too stuck on your, like, this is what we're doing today. And so I think it also, like, when we don't go in with a plan, it also makes our options open up a lot more of what's possible. It's like Kat Roy Stanley. Hello, Kat. She talks
Hello
about
again.
hello, Kat. If you're listening, she talks about the realm of possibility a lot, which I love, and I feel like the expectations and the planning kind of shrinks your realm of possibility. Whereas if you're like, and again, it's okay to have ideas. I think it's great to have ideas. But when we can be unattached to those ideas, we're also allowing loads of other things that we haven't thought of yet to be possible. So yeah, very, very cool. Are your headphones sorted now?
Yeah, I think so. So
Good.
can you hear me okay? Well,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you responded. So awesome. Backup headphones. I think so. If we were to circle back to what is transcending operant conditioning, I think it's the holding the space, the co-creative space.
Yeah.
Holding the space for any emotion or any nervous system response to be present and to pass through and to be co-experienced by both human and horse.
Yes.
I think as well it's the showing up with basically from showing up from a neutral space that is open to receiving ideas from your horse and having a conversation about what you want to do today together, and to check in with where you're at and where the horse is at. And is there anything else you want to add to that?
Oh, I love that so much. Feel like I've got to add in the concept of potential space, because that's one of the things that me and my mum talk about a lot. Can't remember, that might have been Bion or Winnicott, one of the sort of early on white therapy men. And it's basically this idea, I think it originally emerged within like the therapeutic relationship, and that you look at like the potential space is basically, it's just like it's where it's more than the sum of your parts. So I literally, if I can't say the words potential space without visualizing like a bubble between two beings. So I see it as like
with River and me and you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have all these beings coming together, and what goes into the potential space is everything. Everything of all of those beings goes into the potential space. But then there's also a little bit more, something, a little bit extra sparkle from who knows where. And then there's just this kind of realm that you can play with. Again, similar to the realm of possibilities. Like there's loads of, I mean, what you said was just absolutely
the realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
As well.
But yeah, like everything that you just said was just so cool, and just this openness and allowing the horse to have ideas. And I think you really described the essence of transcending operant conditioning there, because like when we've had conversations about this before, like in our joint Google Docs with everyone, like we've got a list of all of the other things that we could consider doing beyond operant conditioning, which I think is really cool and helpful too. And also just going, this is the feeling of it, I think is just so valuable. Yeah.
And I think what came up for me when you were talking was, if you wind back the clock even to a few months ago, I don't think either of us could have defined it.
No, we were both like, this is something that we want to do, but how do we do it? Yeah, or like we kind of already were doing it without realizing that we were, or how we were, or it was like one of those things that you're kind of on the edge of understanding it. And yeah, definitely.
So it's really cool to appreciate that is something that we've come to learn and understand the last few months.
Yeah, definitely. And I've really enjoyed, like, I feel like over the last 6 months-ish or so, I've had a lot more. Like, I will usually do all of my learning about stuff on my own, right? I'll read all my books and I'll do all my online courses, and then I'll go, great, I understand this, now let me share it with the world. And more recently, like through our group that we've got with Kat and Alana and Jackie and Ash and Esme, it's like an amazing group of people. Like, we have all of these sorts of conversations, and I think it gives you such a sort of deeper or like more well-rounded understanding of something if you're discussing it while you're learning it. And yeah, like, I think that's kind of my ultimate learning format now, because yeah, you do just go so much deeper and you go down all of these threads and rabbit holes that you never would have thought that you would have done, and you hear how things land for different people while you're working it out, and yeah, so cool. So it's been a really cool process and an ongoing
And I
one.
think as well, being comfortable with the woo and welcoming it in.
Oh yeah.
Because that has been something that I could not have done not even a few years ago, a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that's really opened since I've moved back to the UK. And it's interesting because a lot of people have asked me, why have you moved back? Because a lot of people in the UK think the UK is bad, and they perceive somewhere else or Europe to be better. And I'm like, everywhere has its problems. And I said, and the plan was always to come back here. And it's funny I use the words to come back, because I'm not actually from where I'm living or where I intend to spend the rest of my life, which is quite interesting. But I've always had this pull to the southwest.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have told you earlier on in my life that this is where I would end up wanting to be and feeling probably the best physically, emotionally, and mentally that I have in years. And I think this, guess what's coming up for me now, Poppy?
Yeah, go for it.
Human design.
Oh, yes, let's hear it. Because we're the same, aren't we? Yeah, we're the same.
3-6 line.
Yes.
Do you want to explain what that is?
Sure, I'll give it a go. So human design is something that I only came across very, very recently. The person who helped me do my website, who is also the host of the Sovereign Horse podcast, shout out to lovely Angela Saiva. She did my human design as part of helping me with my website. And me and Elle are both a 3rd line and a 6th line. And my very, very at the edge of understanding what that means is that the 3rd line is kind of the archetype of the trial and error, right? So you're learning through experience and you're learning through fucking stuff up, basically.
And you almost have to suffer and fail, basically.
Yeah, a lot of failure. Yeah, a lot of going, oh, I tried that didn't work. I tried that didn't work. And apparently the way it works, so the 6th line is like the role model or the kind of the teacher kind of person, but you don't actually you don't actually get your 6th line until your Saturn return, which has been you this year, and I think that will be me in about a decade. And when you get to your 6th line, it's like, I did all of this, so you don't have to. Like, that's kind of how the 6th line and the 3rd line relate to each other. So yeah, I am still in my trial and error period, which is really interesting, because there are loads of times where I feel really confident in my knowledge or and it's really interesting to kind of keep reminding myself to not get too attached to it, even though there might be things that will stay throughout the rest of my life, but also allowing myself to stay with the learning, because I am in a period of learning still a lot. But yeah, that's kind of my understanding of the 3 and the 6. But yeah,
because it's the words they use are the martyr and the role model.
Yes.
For the 3 and the 6. And just to explain what a Saturn return is, if anyone doesn't know, but it is an astrological concept, and my understanding of it is that essentially Saturn returns on your astrological chart to where it was when you were born. And it only happens, I think it happens once or twice in your life.
Yeah, it's like every
and in
30
my
years-ish, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my case, I turned 30 this year.
Yeah.
And I knew it was my Saturn return because I did a consultation with Denise Elizabeth Byron, who I mentioned earlier on, and she explained it all to me, and she was like, your Saturn return is about to happen. And this was about a year ago. And I was like, what the hell is this? And oh my God, I did not know what was coming.
Yeah.
But it has been so cool, and it's just been like, I think had I not have had that session with Denise, I wouldn't have had the awareness of, first of all, its importance, and second of all, I don't think I would have gone or said yes to things in the same way that I've said yes to things this year, because I've just gone like, whatever happens in 2025, it's going to happen exactly the way it's meant to be, and I just have to embrace it. And I don't think I would have believed, if you'd have told me like you'd be sitting here, and I'd be sitting here now having passed my assessment and doing my command course in January, I'd have just been like, sorry, what?
Yeah, and I mean, just the amount of things that you've done this year, like, obviously the move is a huge one, and like the podcast, moving house, like you've done so much like writing and sharing things with the world. You're building new communities in the UK. You've started working with other people and their horses, like learn communication, like hello, just done all the things.
And I'm just reading it now. So with the martyr energy, so this is from the website humandesign.com. So it says, those with the martyr energy are often seen as resilient and resourceful. And for me personally, I know a lot of people would describe me as resilient, because I've been through a hell of a lot in my life, like a lot of big T's and little T's, if you're looking at it from a trauma therapist point of view. And as they try and navigate through life, they try new things, risk failure, and often learn from their missteps. This process helps them build a wealth of life lessons that they later share as part of the role model aspect. Embracing the martyr energy can be challenging, but ultimately leads to significant insights, growth, and a deeper understanding of oneself. It's about recognizing that failure is not a setback, but rather a stepping stone towards mastery. And it's so funny because particularly that last sentence, I have had a very, well, first of all, I competed in sport at a high level, failed at that, and that was my childhood dream.
Yeah.
It was my identity, it was my everything, and to have failed at it was really hard, and it's been 10 years. And it's only now that I've had the Saturn return that I am probably finally at peace with what happened.
Yeah.
And the last few weeks, like 2 weeks ago, I started working out again, and I tried it a few years ago, but I just noticed that it was very toxic for me still, because I started feeling guilty if I didn't do it. If I wasn't doing something every day, I started to feel guilty. And I started like being like, I need to push harder, I need to do this, I need to do that. I wasn't able to enjoy it for itself. But the last 2 weeks, I've been enjoying exercise for the first time.
Oh, yay!
In a very, very, very long time. So that's really nice.
Cool. Oh,
and then
that's amazing.
From the work side of things, I had a really, really difficult first year and a half in my career, where I failed multiple times. I nearly lost my job because I was underperforming. I'm just babbling now, but
no, this is fascinating.
I only realised recently as well that I was emotionally abused as a teenager by a coach, and that shattered my confidence. I never got it back, and it's probably why I failed at my sport ultimately, and it's why I struggled in that first year and a half, because I think the way I was being taught triggered younger me with So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't great what was happening to me, but it was also a factor of what happened to me in the past and how that was coming up. So I had a lot of setbacks, but what I had to learn through it was how to fail and be comfortable with failure. Because as an athlete, you have, like, you can still to this day Google my results. They're online. Everyone can see them.
Wow.
And that's the thing, everyone can see your results all the time. So there's always that pressure. And I got to the point where I was like, if I didn't feel I did well enough, I would deliberately crash out so that people didn't see that bad result of mine. And with flying, I still have to perform. I still get assessed on my performances, but it's only for me to know and like the trainers to know. They can see it too. And there's good things and bad things in that, because if you're then failing at something, you feel like you're on your own. But the other side of that is that, well, I just have to be good enough. I don't have to be the best anymore. Yeah. And I also know from my own experiences of my job, because we don't nearly talk about failure enough in my line of work, but all of us fail something at some point. Yeah. Statistically speaking, it's going to happen. You get assessed every 6 months. So at some point, there's going to be something that you're not going to quite be good enough in, because you'll make a mistake, because we're human, or maybe you've got something going on in your personal life, but you won't be okay, and you might just not be good enough that one time. And it doesn't in any way affect your worth as both an individual and as a pilot. Yeah. It's just a part of the process, and like, you have to learn to fail. And that's that martyr thing, is I learned to fail so that I know now that no matter what happens, I'll be okay. And again, it's that we're safe. Yeah. I'm safe. So then that brings me on to bring up what the role model aspect is, and that is, again, referring back to the Human Design website. So it says, at first, you may struggle to step into this role, often feeling like you're a bit of a misfit. And quite honestly, with the whole command stuff, I was like, yes, I'm saying yes to this now, but oh my gosh, am I really going to be doing this? Am I insane? But now the Saturn return has passed, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I've got this. Yeah. And I'm really excited about it. But it's so funny, because when I talk to the people who are also going to be doing it, they're like, oh yeah, I'm quite nervous, or oh, I just want it to be over. And I'm just there like, let's do it tomorrow.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Like, it's really funny. But yeah, it says, as they age, they start embodying the wisdom they've gathered through their life experiences, transforming them into authentic role models for others. They eventually become a source of guidance, demonstrating the importance of living authentically and learning from life's inevitable ups and downs. So if you're in this position, embrace the journey and continue growing, is essentially what it says on the website. Oh, and I'm really excited to see you in 10 years. When your Saturn return happens.
I know, I'm a bit like overwhelmed already at the thought of it. But yeah,
but
it's
what's
going to
beautiful
be
is
fascinating.
You understand what it is already. You know what to expect and what could happen. And I'm really curious how that continues for you, and how that momentum grows, and where your path goes as well.
I know. It's going to be so fascinating. And yeah, it's just one of those things that, like, it's like the realm of possibility thing. It's like you can't even imagine it right now. Like, 17-year-old you couldn't have possibly imagined like the version that you are now. And so I have my frames of reference of like, oh yeah, I'll probably do this, and then I'll probably learn equine craniosacral, and then I'll probably, whatever the things are that I've got on my list, and then I might like do an equisoma course. Okay, cool. And then maybe I'll get my own land at some point. Great. But there's going to be so much more that unfolds that, so I can't wait. I think it's going to be so fascinating to to see what life chucks out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh,
don't think I've ever
yeah.
shared
Mm.
openly so much about myself and my life, because I'm always like, I don't know, I just don't really talk about it.
Mhm.
Today at work, like occasionally it comes up, particularly the athlete part. I don't
Mm.
like embracing or mentioning the athlete part, mainly
Yeah.
because I think I have a lot of shame around it.
Mhm.
But again, working on that. I had a fun game today with a colleague. I was like, I think, how did it come up? We're talking about like how, I know this isn't horsey anymore, but we're talking about how, what was it? That basically we both applied to, so he applied to Oxford, I applied to Cambridge, and I basically
Okay.
said, I'm really glad I didn't get in. And I said the reason why I didn't get in is, yeah, I did elite sport, but I wasn't a rower, sort of thing, as a joke, because obviously they want people who are good at rowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was basically told in my interview, I was told, like, I did have the grades, I had the level, but they were like, education's not your priority. And I was quite offended by that,
Mhm.
because I was like, well,
Mhm.
I've worked really hard to make sure that I perform in my education as well as in my sport. So clearly
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
important to me. But obviously my sport is going to come first, but that
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that my academics is significantly behind.
Yeah.
It is, if not equal or even better than what I was doing in my sport. So
Yeah.
that was quite frustrating. But then, so he said, oh, well, what sport did you do? I was like, oh, damn. And I said, okay, I'm going to make it a game. I said, you have 20 questions. You have to guess what my sport was.
Oh, amazing. That's so good.
Yeah. So it was really funny.
Did they
But yeah,
guess
this
it?
is the first time yeah, he did. But this is the first time I've actually talked about horses, my job, and my sport all in one
Mm.
conversation that other people are going to listen to,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is scary.
Yeah.
But it's
But you're
okay.
doing
I
it.
spat it
Yeah.
out, didn't I?
Yes. Yeah. 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 It's and then it will be out, and then nothing bad will happen. Yeah.
No, this is a safe space.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's so interesting the things that our mind says. Don't say this. It's not safe to say this. And then often you actually say it, and it's totally fine, and people receive it in a way that's totally fine. And yeah, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing
Oh.
if anything else is coming up or if we dive into the questions
I
now.
think we probably should dive into the questions because we've got quite a lot to get through between us, and it's already an hour and a half.
It's fine. Thank you for listening if you're still listening.
Yeah, impressive work.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do swapsies. So Elle is going to ask me the questions that I usually ask on my podcast, and I'm going to ask Elle the questions she usually asks. So who wants to, do we want to do them in chunks, or do we want to like do them like switch, like I ask one,
I
you
was
ask one?
thinking, yeah.
Shall
That's
I
what
go
was
first?
coming
Because
up for
you've
me.
got more than I have. So if I, will that kind of work? Let's give that a go.
Yeah, I'm nervous.
Let's give it a go. Nah, you'll be great. You'll be great.
Let's see.
Okay. What or where makes you feel wild?
The Mendips.
Yeah.
And I did say this on the episode with Maddie from Happy Tracking, but I will repeat it. And I'll bring a bit more of the woo into it. So,
Yeah.
where do I even start? I first came to the Mendips in 2018, and that was September 2018. And in May 2018, I had some training flights out of Bristol. So that was the first time I ever came to this part of the country. Why am I pointing a pen? Anyway.
Why not? Why not?
I don't know. So I remember doing this training and thinking, gosh, this place is really beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it was a beautiful, clear, sunny day, which is rare, but you know, it was. And initially, me and my husband were going to, the idea was we'd always move back to the UK, but initially in mind we had Manchester. And I said, no, we're going to come to Bristol.
Yeah.
So we changed we were on this list to like move, and we changed our names to the Bristol list. And I then had the opportunity to come visit a friend of mine who lives in Gloucestershire. And she said, I'll take you to the Mendips, because she learned to, I think she used to come here to go gliding, because she's also a pilot, and
Oh, cool.
she's like, I'll take you to the Mendips. And I remember standing on top of Cheddar Gorge, looking out over the Somerset Levels, and there was like these showers. It was like, you know, when you have that sort of showery light coming through, and I could see the showers in the distance. I don't know how far away they are, but I felt I was looking over the whole of the southwest of the UK.
Oh, wow.
And I just remember hearing the wind, feeling it, and I was just like, this is home. And this was in 2018, so that was quite a while ago. And then when did I come back? So when I came in June to look for a place to rent, the first place I came to saw was this house that I'm in right now. And I was early to the appointment because I was really excited. So I just decided to get out the car, and I saw this gate, and I opened this gate and I walked up this path. And then I found myself on top of Mendips again. Not quite Cheddar Gorge, but I remember, again, it was really similar weather. And I remember being like, I feel wild. And by that I mean the reference to the wild woman archetype, which is mentioned in Women Who Run with Wolves.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I've been exploring since I first heard about it on In the Spirit of Horse podcast by Mosey Truitt, because she mentions that she read this book, and she discusses the wild archetype and tuning into your body, what your body needs, and she talks about it from I can't remember which episode it is, but she talks about it from a nutrition perspective.
Oh,
where so she's like, rather than be like, I need to eat breakfast, lunch and dinner, she's like, can I go into a supermarket and tune into what my body is saying I need and go buy those foods and eat those foods?
Yeah.
In much the way that horses would graze a wild landscape and pick out what they need.
Or even the way that we would feed horses, like people like me and you, we'd like offer them different herbs and like different buffets and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and listening to them when you're walking with them on the lane and letting them forage as well, except obviously not eating acorns, as I kept telling Morgan the other day. I was like, no, you can't eat the acorns.
Not those ones. Yeah.
Not those ones, sweetie, or you will die. But it was on that hill that I felt that wild woman. And Zirconia and I describe it with Zirconia as like, I have been rewilding her and helping her tune into what the wild horse is, which Morgan has.
She does.
You know, Morgan holds that, and I think that helped show Zirconia what that means. And exploring together what that definition of the wild woman is, both in our respective species relevant roles, I'm going to say. So yeah, that's when I felt wild. And the woo-woo part of this is that I feel like I'm meant to be here in this part of my life to both heal. And I did a session with both Senka Padsman, who was on my podcast, and Katrina McDonald. And Senka basically told me on the podcast to ask Katrina to tell me who I am.
Oh, yes,
which we did.
Yes,
we did that. And the Mendips play a big role in it. And she said, I'll heal myself by going up for walks up there. And that's when I started. I knew there were wild horses up there, the Exmoors, and that's when I started to so before then I hadn't come across them, but I'd said on a podcast episode of mine, I said I'd meet them when I was ready, and it was after it was literally the day after, like same
day. So cool.
I hung up the phone of Katrina. My husband walked in and said, shall we go for a walk now? I said, yeah, sure. We walked up, and they were literally exactly where we were going at the top of the summit, and they walked across there, and that was the first time I saw them.
Amazing.
And the power of them is that they have been in the UK for 150,000 years. They essentially came over, from what I understand, they came over from Alaska and walked across wherever the UK was at that time. and they've been here ever since. And there's something to do with the Exmoors and Morgan that I don't quite know what yet. But spending time with them helps heal me. And my sort of purpose in life is to find my integrity and to hold it.
Yeah.
But not in a way of like, not projecting it onto people, but just by being me and showing up as me. And going back to an earlier point in our discussion, stay L, be L.
Yes.
And that's all I need to do, apparently. So,
yeah.
Mendips, that's where I feel wild.
Oh, amazing. Love it. That's so cool. So cool. Oh, love it.
So, Poppy,
here we go.
What's something you're learning at the moment?
Oh, a lot. Good old third line vibes. Okay. Well, one thing that's quite a short thing that I'm learning is how on earth to start and run a horse business. Like I ran a chocolate business, weirdly enough, a while ago called Poppy Chocky, which I think is still available on. I think it's still on Instagram. Like you can find it all, and I like went properly for it and had a website and did stalls and So yeah, it's very different running a horse business to a chocolate business. I'm learning, so that's just kind of an ongoing thing. But I think what's really landing for me that I'm learning at the moment is how to ask, like with the horses, because I think I went through quite a long time of finding it very difficult to ask anything, and like that's like this feels really in line with my shift from the horse first more to the co-creational, because again, like this is something that me and Angela actually talked a little bit about when I went on the podcast, where when we've kind of made this transition from the more traditional world where it's humans have power over the horse to what we are now, we've almost like flipped it, and we've not realised that it's actually the power full stop and the pedestal full stop that's the problem, rather than just who's on it, right? And so, and actually I read a poem or a piece of writing once. I can't remember any of it apart from something about when you put someone on a pedestal and then there's too much distance and you can't love them through the distance anymore. And yeah, I know, right? So I'm really loving the like, how can we get rid of the pedestal and the power over and come more into a space of co-creation? And part of that is bringing myself more present and bringing my desires or needs or whatever the things, just whatever it is that I'm bringing to the relationship, being more present and forthcoming with that. Because I think what I would do a lot is I would just kind of sit and wait and go, what are you going to present? And just like be like a blank canvas and just be like, I'm here to hold space for anything you want. And they're like, you're not even in the space. Like, what space are you holding? Like, you're not, what? And so I think, yeah, just finding, that's my thing, is I'm just kind of going, how do I ask? Or like, how much do I push? Like with Willow and the riding stuff, she can very much be like, oh, I don't know what we're doing here because this is a new thing. She's never been ridden in her life. And I'll like put an arm over her back and kind of hold with a bit of pressure. And she's like, oh, this feels weird. And a while ago, I would have gone, oh God, I'll get off you and I'll find what's the easier thing. Whereas now I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna just while you walk forwards a couple of steps, I'm just gonna walk with you and keep the hold. And we'll just stay with it for a minute and see what happens. And so again, it's still this like really attentive, like we're not going over threshold. We're not, there's no coercion or like pushing, but there's still this ability to go, oh, hey, this is an ask I'm making of you, and can we just stay with it for a minute? And if after a minute we go, no, that's too much of an ask, then that's fine. But just like, and learning how to do that as well without, I feel like there was a lot of guilt that came up for me at first. I'd be like, I asked, okay, now I'm going to back off because I just asked. No, was that okay? Was that an okay thing to ask? Should I have asked that? Was that okay? No, you know. And so it's like, okay, I've asked this. Can I stay present in my question without running away? And like, I was people pleasing the horses. That's the short thing. I was people pleasing the horses, and I'm learning how to not people please the horses because it pisses them off. So yeah,
because
yeah,
they
that's
need
what I'm
clear
learning.
intention. They need
Yeah.
clear. They need you to be clear.
Yeah.
And it's part of that going into that. Who do you want to be as a leader? And as a leader, and I'm now thinking with my pilot hat on. Not that I have one, but
yeah,
as a
you could get
leader,
one.
you have the responsibility to mentor the person you are leading. So it's about, I think, empowering them to just stretch a little bit outside their comfort zone.
Yeah.
Just enough for them to give it a go.
Yeah.
And to see how they feel about it. I'm gonna leave that one there.
Yeah. And then they've done it and they're like, oh, I can do it now. Like, I was consistently underestimating my horses.
So empowering.
Yeah. And like after that session, like I took the halter off Willow and then she looked at me and then she followed me because the horses right now, their fields, there's a footpath through them. So for me to walk home, I walk along the footpath. And she followed me all along the footpath right up until the stile, which she never does. Like, they all just, I'm like, bye horses, and they're like, hello, gonna go and graze. They don't follow me around because they've got no reason to. And then she followed me and I was like, oh, that's really interesting and cool. And like, she likes the challenge. She likes an amount of challenge. There's a very specific window of how much challenge she likes, but it does annoy her when I underestimate her, that's for sure.
And I think when you're mentoring, it's giving them that opportunity to have the challenge and guiding them through it, and listening to when it's enough.
Totally.
Yeah, because otherwise you're not going to, if you don't step up into that mentorship as a leader, you're never going to empower someone to step out beyond what they are already capable of and what they already know. And likewise, it then gives you the opportunity to lead and grow, and develop yourself as well.
Yeah, totally. Amazing. Right, I'm gonna find the next one for you. Okay, what gifts have you received from horses that keeps showing up for you, or is showing up for you right now?
Few months ago, I would have said, so Fion's biggest gift he's given me is my sense of self and understanding who I am, and guiding me on the path to saying yes to who I am. Zirconia has given me the gift of spirituality, of stepping into the deeper level because she needed me to, in order to help find her and help her understand who she is. So that's almost a beautiful yin and yang moment where Fion gave me this and then I passed it on to her. But to do that, I had to go deep, which is something I wouldn't have been comfortable with in the past, but she's continued me on that path of self-growth. And Morgan has taught me, Zirconia as well, to an extent, has shown me how to be a leader and how to set boundaries by me observing her with the other two. But Morgan has facilitated that accountability of being a leader and that responsibility of being a leader. And it's interesting those two words come up because when I was doing my assessment process, it's taken a year basically. And with my previous manager, his two sort of buzzwords were accountability and responsibility, understanding what is it as a captain that you are responsible for and what is it as a captain that you are accountable for.
Nice.
And I think that is what Morgan has taught me. I'm staring at her little drawing right now. That is what she's taught me.
That's so cool.
And being comfortable with that,
Mm-hmm.
and to sort of tie that all up, it's the gift, like if we combine them all together, it's the gift of being Elle.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. And yeah, I love that. And it's so interesting that we were messaging when you were in the Netherlands, and you were talking about this sort of energetic stuff that you've been doing with the horses, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, what is it? And I immediately was like, it's Elle amazingness, with the little sparkle emoji. Like, I was like, that's the official diagnosis. And I
that was after my last trip, wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I love how, like, me and the horses and everyone is just picking up on it. It's like, it's just the Elle magic. Like, you just gotta
Whatever
be
that
Elle.
is.
Yeah, whatever it is. But it doesn't matter, because you don't need to know, because you're just embodying it. Like, you don't need to know what it is. You're just doing it. And actually, if we tried to label it, we'd probably end up pretty far off the mark. But very, very cool. Very cool.
Well, this is actually kind of cool, because this one's kind of similar and ties in very nicely.
Yeah.
A piece of wisdom from being with / listening to horses.
Oh, where do I even start? Like, I feel like, especially in my communication sessions or whatever, like, it's just like endless. Like, the horses would just say things that, like, oh my God, I can't believe that I'm getting to be like a channel or a translator for this. But I think, like, within my own horses and within my own life, do you know, it's actually quite similar to yours. I think there's just this feeling of acceptance. Like, I really remember a while ago, Nika, who you've also had on the podcast, she put a prompt on her Instagram story that was like, what was it that horses were for you in childhood? And I was like, they were the space that allowed me to be myself. And I think, yeah, or it was like, what did you feel when you were around horses when you were younger? And I was like, I felt like myself. And it was like this sudden, like, oh yeah, this is the actual version. Because I feel like, you know, especially at school, I felt like I was kind of playing all these different versions of myself, and I didn't really know which one was the real one. And so then I'd get to the horses and I'd be like, oh, this is the one. And that wasn't through anything that they did. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like, oh, I'm jumping with horses or whatever, this show jumper, like, this is me. Like, that wasn't the identity. It was the being moments. Or yeah, I feel like like, the acceptance and the being is, like, probably one of the biggest things I've learned with horses. Like, I'm someone that's very, very comfortable with stillness and slowness, but I'm still really learning how to do embodied stillness and slowness, because my coping mechanism with anything is leaning towards dissociation. And so I was the person who in school could just, like, daydream for hours and not realise I hadn't written a single word on the page. And then it would get to the end of the lesson, I would panic that I had not written anything down. And then I'd go and sit with the horses, like the pony that I sort of shared when I was about 10ish. She had colic surgery, and I would sit with her all day, every day, while she was recovering, because it was the summer holidays. And that was like, that wasn't dissociated stillness. That was like embodied stillness. And so, yeah, the kind of the acceptance and the simplicity of the, like, everything is okay, you are okay, we are just here. That's all that's happening. And it's simple, but that doesn't make it like a non-important thing. It's like one of the most important things. And it's so untied in with, like, results or labels or external identities. Like, yeah, just that how can you find the acceptance and the stillness just like almost in a kind of liminal kind of space where you're like, I don't have words right now. I don't have any descriptors or anything that I could go and explain this to someone else. And I don't need to. So yeah, I think that's the wisdom from the horses among many things, but that was the one that came up.
Love it. Yeah.
So if your horse could tell us about you, what do you feel they might say?
Oh, I absolutely love all the answers I've had to this question. I'm just going to say that now. There's been some really
I love the
ones.
answers you've had to this question as well.
What would you guys say? I think Morgan would say, "Can I have some food, please? Can you scratch my butt, please?"
Yeah.
Not even a please, just scratch my butt.
Yeah.
Give me food. Where's the food?
Oh yeah.
Fion's having food. I should have some food soon.
Yeah.
I think Fion, the best way to describe him would be he'd just be like, you know, you get those really happy puppies that are just super happy to see their humans. That would be him. He'd be like, if he could lick my face, he would.
That's so cute.
I'm like, let's play.
Yeah.
I think that would be his vibe.
Okay.
And now it'd be like, let's go on a walk. He loves sniffing the floor of the road.
Yeah. So many interesting smells.
And I think he'd just ask me to like just explain a lot of things. So he'd be like, what's this smell? What's that? What's that? What's this? What's this? What's that? Zirconia. What would Zirconia say?
Yeah.
I think she'd just say, I respect and I love you.
Nice.
And I'm with you.
Nice. Yeah, I love all of the ways that you've described each of them. Like, I mean, obviously having done a few communication sessions with your gorgeous herd now, like it's always my favourite bit because I kind of structure it. For some reason, I've ended up just structuring all my sessions where kind of at the end I'll ask them about how they see their humans, and it's just like my favourite thing in the world to see how horses see their humans. Restores my faith in humanity like nothing else. And it's so cool to hear your word perspective on it, as well as like also having kind of felt sensation of how they all feel when they see you. And it was very much more of like a presentation as a herd rather than the more kind of individual way that you could like see that. But I mean, the only word that could get close to it was just love. Like they just like adore you, you know.
I wanted to ask you, because you kind of mentioned it, I'm going to throw in an extra question, a bonus question for Poppy. From the wisdom you've gained from horses and the connection that you've had with many horses now, where do they see humanity going to? And how do you feel about the future? Or how do they feel about the future?
That's a really good question. And honestly, not one that I feel like I've directly like asked with horses. Like I've never sat down and gone like, what do you think about the future? I mean, I know personally I absolutely ping pong between dread and sometimes moments of hopefulness, usually after I've like read books by Robin Walker Murrah. Then I'm like, okay, we might be okay. But yeah, I think I personally, like, with the future, I'm wary when, so I listen to the Emotional Horsemanship podcast quite a bit, and one of the questions that he asks at the end that Lockie asks at the end is, what what do you see the tide of change in the horse industry as, or like how are you contributing to it? And I'm always slightly wary with tide of change kind of things, because I feel like everyone's always saying it, right? Like recently there was this whole thing in like America where like loads of sort of certain types of Christians were like, oh, it's going to be the rapture and we're all going to go to heaven, and then it didn't happen. And so, and it feels like, you know, as well, like in sort of more spiritual communities, there'll be a lot of like, everything's falling apart because it's going to get better. But it's like, but we've seen that those storylines have been happening like for ages. And we keep having this, and we keep sort of seeing things as like the new, like this is our new savior. And like with the Pirelli thing, we were like, everyone was like, oh, Pirelli's going to come save us. And then it was like, oh, no, it's not. And so I'm always wary of this, like, whenever it feels like we're on the up, because I'm like, well, there's always kind of multitudes happening all at once. But what I would say is, from the horse perspective, is they're able to be very, very kind. Like, I think that's and they're very good at separating people from their actions. Like, even if horses have had a really shit time and people have done shit stuff to them, they're still able to be really kind to humanity, and they're still able to try. And I think that's something that I am really inspired by personally, because like I tend towards black and white thinking. Like, that's one of the things within myself that I most seek to maybe not change, but like soften around the edges a bit. And I can very much, like, politically even just be like, those people are the bad guys, we're the goodies, you know, whatever it is, or an issue like, oh, climate change, if you're not doing XYZ, you're a bad person or whatever. And the horses, I mean, I don't really think like that anymore, but I definitely had a phase where I was like, that I was a lot more black and white, and the horses really don't think like that. And they're very able to have a lot of kindness and compassion for people, whoever they are. And I think that's really supportive. Like, when we get into really divisive things, that gets complicated. And I think, yeah, taking that wisdom of the horses to be able to see, even if you really, really disagree with them, or if you like really, really hate them, and or you're like, you're sending our horse industry in the wrong direction, and we all need to be doing this to get to the right place in the future. They're like, that's not the point. Like, that's not the point.
No.
You need to be able to be like kind to the people, and like see the good that's there. Like, they're very focused on what's the good that's here, rather than what's the good that could happen in the future. From my experience, I'm sure there are loads of people who have connected to horses more focused on like future kind of conversations, but in the present, I would say what I'm learning from them most about the future and about change is about how can we have conversations with people we disagree with, or move towards the change that we're seeking without hating the other, or without even having an opponent, you know.
Coming at it from that neutral again.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what's
the
coming
neutral.
up for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the kind of kindness and the kind of oneness sort of thing. And I mean, again, this Willow likes shaking up any ideas that I have around progress, right? Like, she really hates progress as a linear thing, because as soon as you create progress as a linear thing, you're choosing one state as better than another. And she's like, no, why is like us being able to go on a walk better than us being able to stand in a field together? Like, that's not better, it's just different. And rather than like seeing, like, for me, if I think of the past and the future, like, I see it as kind of a line that you move along. She's like, no, it's more like like the way that she sees it and she understands it, she's a very visual thinker anyway. So she kind of just sees like the images like morph into the next one and the next one, like almost like some kind of dance, and it's just like you shift every time. And that's just it. And she's really unattached to any of the states. So yeah, I'm not sure if that really even answers the question perfectly, and I feel like I've gone down a few different routes, but yeah.
That's totally fine. Tangents is what it's all about, holding that space for co-creation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I've definitely got at least one more for you. I'll just check how many we have
I think there's 2 more for me and 1 for you.
Yeah, 2 more for you. Okay. What music reminds you of your horse?
Okay, I'm gonna have to go stare at my phone for this one. Because I have a playlist on Spotify,
Yay! Love it.
which is called Horses, and it is from all the little reels that I have made over the time that I've been making reels about my horses.
So cool.
But I have some really specific songs for each of them. So for Zirconia, it's a song called Carry You by Novo Amor, and I made it to celebrate a year of being together.
Oh, that's
and
so sweet.
There's just lyrics in that really resonate with our relationship and our journey. Morgan is, well, it was a song or a track called Summer Energy, called by Jeppe Real, but now it is, where's it gone? Your Lane, by Tunes of the Future, which is the reel that I made the video about us transcending operant conditioning to, because I just love the lyrics of it, and it's about walking your own path and owning who you are and holding space for who you are in potentially a context where someone else might conflict with that. And then Fion is a song called You by Luya, which again was a song I made to celebrate 1 year of owning him. Not that I like that word, but yeah, because he's just done so much for me by just being him. And he does challenge me. And sometimes I'm like, oh, can you just not be like this?
Yeah.
But it's having that love for him, even though he's like that. Because his purpose in life is to be like, hey, be you. So yeah.
Oh, very, very cool. Oh, love it.
And then your last question is, how do you speak horse?
Oof. This is, I'm always like, I get so used to the question when I ask it, and then everyone's always like, oh, this question. And so, but yeah, how do I speak horse? I think the first thing that is coming to mind is just softness. Like, I think I just want them to feel really like this is just like, for it to just be a nice kind of cozy space to hang out together. And like, but then there's also like, okay, so I've got a few like personal kind of precepts. It was something that me and my dad were talking about, because he's got some, and he was like, oh, you got to think of some for yourself. And I ended up with kindness, integrity, and curiosity. So I think those are kind of the same principles that I bring forward with my horses. And like kindness and softness I see as kind of very similar things in the way that I implement them. And then integrity could again be kind of interchanged with congruency. Like, I really want with my horses for all of me to be aligned. So my actions, my emotions, my intentions, all of those things. Because yeah, I really feel like when I was working with horses before I ended up at this approach, I was not always that integrated, because you can't be that integrated if you're, you know, going, oh, I love you, horse, also I'm going to kick you in the side, you know? Like, that's not an integrated action, and you can only do that when you're slightly, I mean, for me, I feel like I had to be a bit dissociated, basically, and then it's the relationship that you have with authority, because everyone's telling you to. So I think for me, there's like I want to really continuously like hold myself accountable for my own integrity, and to be like, I really like it's really important to me that everything lines up, and all my ethics, and that's something that can change, but in the moment it has to be all true. And then the curiosity again is that, like, allowing things to change, and staying attentive and listening, and allowing my own thoughts or expectations or perceived knowledge or answers, being able to just put them aside for a minute and go, okay, and what are you showing me now? Like, on my website, which is kind of out and mostly unfinished, the kind of homepage says the name How to Speak Horse reflects a lifelong endeavour to be the, oh god, I've forgotten it now, something to be like, to be the best, most attentive and listening, respectful and listening partner that I can be, right? So it's like, it's something that I'm continuously learning. It's a language that I'm constantly going, oh, and how do you speak horse? And how do you speak horse? And how do you speak horse? You know, like when I initially came up with that name when I was like 13, I was like, I'm going to teach everyone how to speak horse so that they can be great. Like, they can work with their horses really well. And then I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm learning how to speak horse. And again, we have the third line thing again. It's like, no. We're just coming back again and again and again and going, and today, and today, and today, and like meeting them for the first time every day. Like, that's a huge part of my work and a huge principle. And like the same with the communication, every time, even my own horses, first thing I do is I ask them to introduce themselves every time, however they want to. And so that's become part of my like physical in-person practice as well, rather than going, oh yeah, I know you, horse, you're gonna do this, you're gonna act like this. Like, every day being, and who are you today? And who are you today?
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that is how I speak horse. Yeah.
Awesome. I
And
really,
then,
really love that last little nugget you said.
Yeah. How I speak horse is asking the horses how they speak horse. Basically.
And then one day you'll be able to sum it all up and tell everyone about it, and that's probably when you've had your Saturn return.
Yeah. Or, well, by the time I've actually got the answer, I'll be on my deathbed, let's face it. Like, it's gonna keep going even beyond the Saturn return, the learning, like, yeah.
Yeah. And that's probably the biggest gift of life, in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Is the opportunity to just continually learn.
Yeah. And then your final one. What message do you want to send out into the horse world about horses?
This one's hard to answer.
I know.
Purely because I think I am not entirely sure how to articulate my answer, or even what my answer is. See them as the sentient, wise being that they are, and hold space for the age of the horse-human relationship.
Ooh,
and the role in
nice.
which they've served in our lives.
Yes.
And understand that the role they served us in the past is no longer serving now. And ask yourself, what are they serving humanity now? And I think you'll be really surprised by what the answer is. Don't you?
Very, very cool. Amazing. It felt like you went to a slightly different place. You were just like looking. You were just like so focused. You were like, okay, what is the message? Oh,
I was staring at the
very,
tiles
very
on my kitchen wall.
Well, the tiles clearly have a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe that was coming from the Exmoor ponies.
yeah.
Because they're only up there, aren't they? Somewhere.
They are
somewhere
only
on
up
the hill
there.
over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I'm still basking in that a little bit.
Earlier I was like, I know what I want to say at the end of this episode, and now it's totally evading me, but that's fine. I think the first thing is thank you very much for everyone for listening to us for so long, because this is the first proper marathon of a podcast I've ever recorded.
Yeah, this is like a Warwickshire length podcast.
Yeah, I never thought I'd do that. Secondly, thank you, Poppy, for an amazing conversation. And that's it. Here we go. I really like this, and I want to do it again. And I don't think I've ever come across... Yeah, I know where this is going now. I don't think I've ever come across where... Because what we're going to do is we're going to publish it on both of our podcasts separately. Not like, oh, you came on my podcast or I came on yours. Yeah. And I think that honours the space of co-creation.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I love that we've been talking about that the whole time.
Yeah. And I think that's what this is. And I really want to do it again because to both me and you, it doesn't matter how many people listen to the podcast.
Not at all.
Or whose podcast it is. It's about putting what we've shared out there and letting other people access it, A, for free, and B, like, obviously who listens to your podcast might be different. Obviously we have some shared listeners, but it's like the reason why we're probably putting it on both of our podcasts is so that more and more people can access that information and hear it.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, any time. And I do really love the kind of the co-creative space, and where it is less of a sort of interview format as well is really nice. Absolutely. And like you said, we're not doing this for like any kind of results. I mean, I would have happily had this conversation with you if it wasn't recorded. Like,
same. I mean, we do anyway, so
we do.
But we're just like, let's just put this on recording.
Let's record at some point. the new podcast that I'm starting. Yes, which does have a name now. Yeah, my lovely friend has named it Turning Pages, which will be basically, it's a book club in podcast form, which will be mostly horse books, but maybe a few more human-leaning books, but read through a horse angle. And like going through different books chapter by chapter, but with the same... Well, I was about to say guest, but basically co-host for each season. So right now, me and my mum are recording the first season, which is Applied Equine Psychology, is the book that we're talking about. And it's so nice because, like, the focus is the book, and then we're both bringing our perspectives to it, and we are co-hosts. It's not like she's a guest on my podcast, even though I'm the one doing all the admin and getting all the different people for the different series. Like, it does have a very different feel to it than a normal podcast, and you get to know people very differently along the course of the series. So you will definitely be invited on. I think we might try and do Equus Lost as soon as I've read it.
Yes! I was going to say, if we're going to do one, let's do that.
Do Equus Lost. So yeah, no, I love recording in this way, and I'm sure we will do other things at some point. We should definitely do one with like a bigger group as well, with like people like Kat.
Yeah.
That would be very cool. But yeah, no, thank you. This has been very, very lovely. Yeah,
thank you
and thank you everyone for listening.
Everyone for listening.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to share, or shall we do the quick admin-y, like where people can find us things?
The admin-y thing.
The admin-y things.
You go ahead.
Okay, cool. So yeah, if you're listening to this on my podcast, then you will already know this, but yeah, I'm Poppy Peach. You can find me How to Speak Horse on Instagram. I'm gonna challenge myself to have the website fully done by the time this is released. In theory, you will be able to search howtospeakhorse.com, but right now there's something weird going on with that. But if you can access it with a link, I don't really understand websites. So, but it does exist and it is accessible through a link. I am on Substack. I haven't written anything on there for like ages, but I am How to Speak Horse on there as well. And yeah, I do, as I said, I am actually starting a business. So I do communication work, and I do trauma-informed horsemanship work, which mostly is online right now because I can't drive yet. So you'd have to be very, very close to me. So if you're in East Chiltington, then let me know. But it's unlikely. It's not a very big place. But yeah, I do like online coaching and consults for people who want it. You don't have to like identify with the label of like having a traumatized horse. It's also to do with like preventing trauma in horses. Like a great example is like your Move-Elle, like that could have totally been a traumatic situation, but then you prevented the trauma through all of the holistic supports that you put in. So that's kind of a lot of what my work is looking at how can we, because like also traumatized horses are much more prone to re-traumatization. So how can we set up situations and environments that are not going to be traumatic? And yeah, it's very much focused on like changing human behavior and environment, and then allowing the horse change to kind of come from that as a natural, organic thing. So that's me. Yeah, you go for it.
My brain is just a wonderful brain thing that it does.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking, what on earth do we call this episode? That's what was going on in the background of my mind. I've got a really good idea, because if we're going to do more than one episode, and so that people can easily find those specific episodes.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this? It's genius.
Yes, I'm so
How
ready
to
for
Speak
it.
Horse with the Humans of Horses.
Yay! Love it. Love it.
That's so cool. Anyway, so where to find me? Well, I'm here in Somerset, so not right now, but if you would like me to work with your horse at some point next year, I would be open to that. Also, just to chat to you yourself, not specifically working with your horse, if you want to work with me online or whatever. Not in a professional capacity right now, because I'm probably going to ask you, how the hell do you go setting up a business? But maybe we need a podcast on that.
Oh my god, yeah. Or if anyone does want a recommendation, The Business of Becoming, In the Business of Becoming podcast, hosted by Nika and Angela, is very, very good. If anyone wants to set up a horsey kind of business.
I'll go there.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah. But sorry,
anyway.
I just jumped in, carry on.
It's okay. So there. Wait, in Somerset. Hi, I'm in Somerset.
Yeah.
Or online. The second thing is the Humans of Horses podcast. Feel free to listen to it. Yeah. And if you want to be on it, just message me. And I know I'm very professional. I have a tidy Cal booking
very
form.
Fancy.
But I will take this opportunity to say I can only add my availability on roughly the 17th of each month for the following month. So if it's not working out for you this month, just keep an eye out, or the following months. Because I do a job where I work shifts, so it's a little bit random as to when I'm available. But so lovely. And then you can also find me on Instagram at The Cognitive Aggression, and also the Humans of Horses podcast, because I have 2 accounts. I have a Facebook page for The Cognitive Aggression that auto posts because I'm lazy. I just don't really like. I find it really annoying to switch between accounts on Facebook, between my personal account and then the pages. So I was just like, you just do all the auto posting, so I don't have to do that. That's me just confessing that one. And then the final place to find me is on Substack. Just at The Cognitive Aggression. Because I'm going to say I'm a writer. So I write.
Yeah, I love your
Read
writing.
it.
Yes. Everyone go read Elle's writing. It's very, very cool and lovely and wonderful.
Or if not, in other news, I am going to record myself talking on my own podcast. So there will be episodes that are like dedicated to my writing.
Oh,
so that you don't have to read
idea.
it. If you don't want to read it, you can just listen to it.
Lovely.
because not everyone is fast at reading.
Yeah.
Me, in particular, I'm not fast at reading. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
So
audio
that's
book
that.
club. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Oh, this has been so lovely. How long have we been recording now? Like 2.5 hours.
I don't even know because it's now 2 recordings. But anyway.
Yes. Yeah, from when it died. Yeah, no, I think that's like 2.5 hours. So well done if you've listened this long. And yeah. Oh, amazing.
Take care, everyone.
See you soon. Bye.
Can't remember a time before you walked into my life. You took the broken parts of me and made it all alright. There's an easiness to your grace that I will never know, and every day this feeling only grows, and every moment with you just bleeds into one. Your easy smile greets my eyes just like the morning sun, a reflection of my soul, one heart that beats for two. Just know, my love, that I will carry you.